Ever wondered what secrets lurked behind the garage doors of the late Paul Walker, our Fast and Furious legend? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the untold story of Paul Walker's car collection, Fast and Furious Legends Garage. We'll venture beyond the silver screen to explore the real gems he loved and preserved. Get ready for surprising facts, a few controversial twists, and an unforgettable ride. Let's roll into this car lineup now. Paul Walker's 1963 Chevrolet Nova Wagon is an example of how his taste went beyond imports and classic muscle coupes. At first glance, you might expect to see someone's grandmother using it for Sunday errands, but under the hood lies a small block V8 capable of delivering serious horsepower, especially after a few well-chosen modifications. In the early 60s, Chevy's Nova platform was lightweight and compact, perfect for hot rodders looking for something different from the usual muscle suspects. Many fans were surprised that a star known for turbocharged imports and big power exotics would treasure a wagon. Rumors swirled that Paul relished its sleeper persona, rolling up in a benign-looking family hauler that could still roar off the line. While it might not dominate a modern track day, upgrading the suspension and brakes transforms this humble grocery getter into a surprisingly capable cruiser. Part of the appeal was the underdog factor. The wagon silhouette doesn't scream muscle, but that's half the fun. Plenty of cargo space, retro styling, and a hidden V8 punch. A Nova wagon might never reach the mainstream popularity of Camaros or Mustangs, yet that distinctiveness was what Paul found so alluring. Ultimately, it's emblematic of his willingness to embrace lesser-known classics and turn them into something that could make jaws drop at a stoplight. You can't discuss Paul Walker's stable without mentioning the Skyline, specifically his 1989 Nissan Skyline R32 GTR. Nicknamed Godzilla, this coupe shook the automotive world with Nissan's B26 DETT inline-6 and the advanced ATTESA ETSAWD system. Officially, it was limited to 276 horsepower due to Japan's gentleman's agreement. But insiders knew the RB26 was capable of much more. Paul's R32 was reputedly tuned in a subdued manner, no flamboyant body kit or neon underglow, focusing on performance upgrades that let the car's racing heritage shine. This choice fueled mild controversy, with some fans hoping he'd turn it into a showy track beast. Instead, Paul respected the R32 for its proven motorsport legacy. In Japanese touring car events, the R32 had dominated, carving out a fearsome reputation as an all-wheel drive wonder that could humiliate more expensive competition. For Paul, the Skyline's allure was its everyday drivability, combined with genuine racing DNA. This was a car you could take to the supermarket and then thrash around a circuit on weekends. Even in near-stock form, an R32 GTR can outpace many newer performance cars, exemplifying the Godzilla nickname. If you ever spot an unassuming gray R32 quietly rolling by, don't underestimate what lurks beneath that subtle exterior. It's the perfect embodiment of performance with a side of restraint, mirroring Paul's taste for form following function. When it comes to American-made supercars, the Saleen S7 often tops the conversation, and Paul's collection wouldn't be complete without one. Produced by Steve Saleen's company, already renowned for modifying Mustangs, the S7 was a ground-up effort featuring a carbon fiber body, mid-mounted V8, and a design that looked ripped straight from a Le Mans prototype. Even the base version packed over 500 horsepower, and twin-turbo variants later soared to 750. Priced around $580,000, the S7 dared to challenge European juggernauts like Ferrari and Porsche, a bold move considering the rarity of successful American supercars. Critics doubted it could match European refinement, but Car and Driver famously reported that its steering was so responsive, it made even the nimble Porsche Cayman S appear sluggish. This was a hardcore driver's car, stripped of unnecessary luxuries, with a stiff suspension that communicated every bump in the road. Paul's particular S7 was supposedly an earlier model, making about 550 horsepower, more than enough to pin you to your seat in a lightweight chassis weighing roughly 2,865 pounds. The scarcity of the S7 only amplified its aura. Fewer than 100 are believed to exist. Sure, it may rattle your fillings on rough pavement, but for someone who loved the visceral side of performance driving, that raw character was the whole point. The S7 proved America could craft a supercar that stood tall against Europe's finest, and Paul clearly relished being part of that statement. Talk to BMW enthusiasts about rare M3s, and they'll likely bring up the E36 M3 Lightweight. Then they'll mention that Paul Walker owned several. This special edition tossed out typical comforts, thicker glass, sound insulation, sometimes even air conditioning, in favor of reduced weight and a sharper driving experience. The result was an M3 with a scalpel-like feel, perfectly balancing a high-revving inline-six with a chassis tuned for precision. Critics of the E36 M3 often deemed it tamer than its E30 predecessor, but the lightweight silenced naysayers by delivering exceptional cornering prowess. Paul recognized that synergy and reportedly kept multiple lightweights around so he could track them without the stress of damaging a lone rarity. The US Spec S50 engine produced around 240 horsepower, less than European versions, yet the genius of this car wasn't brute power. It was in how the chassis devoured corners. Some might call the interior austere, but enthusiasts know the lack of creature comforts is part of the charm. Less weight, more focus on the drive. Clutch feel, gearbox engagement, and crisp steering feedback made the lightweight a driver's playground. For a guy whose professional career revolved around pushing cars to their limits on screen, owning multiple lightweights shows Paul's personal dedication to track-ready machinery that demands skill and rewards it generously. The 2011 Porsche 911 GT3 RS is essentially a love letter to those who value balance and precision over outright horsepower figures. With around 450 horsepower from a high-revving, naturally aspirated flat six, it's not the most powerful 911, but it's arguably the most engaging. Paul Walker admired cars that offered direct mechanical connection, and few machines do that better than a GT3 RS. Porsche's GT division spared no effort to remove excess weight, sharpen aerodynamics, and refine suspension geometry. The result is a 911 that corners like it's reading your mind, thanks to impeccable steering and a chassis that begs to be hustled. Rumors suggest Paul may have done a few tasteful tweaks, possibly an aftermarket exhaust, to tailor it further to his preferences. Such mods can rile up enthusiasts, but Paul was about the experience. If you're looking for plush seating and a quiet cabin, look elsewhere. The GT3 RS is purpose-built for apex hunting, with a stiff ride that's borderline punishing on bumpy streets. Still, when the road opens up, or you hit a track, every sacrifice is vindicated. The wail of that flat six near redline can send shivers down the spine of any car enthusiast. It's a raw, unfiltered driving encounter, perfect for someone who cherished authenticity behind the wheel. We already saw Paul's inclination for Chevy's Nova platform with his '63 Wagon, but the 1967 Nova Coupe dialed up the attitude even further. While overshadowed by muscle heavyweights like the Camaro and Chevelle, the Nova remained a secret weapon among drag racers who recognized its lighter chassis as a perfect foundation for big-engine swaps. Paul's '67 reportedly embraced that philosophy, sporting a built V8 that provided plenty of tire-smoking torque. Critics might point out that older Novas don't handle with modern finesse, but that raw, mechanical feel is exactly what some enthusiasts crave. Paul appreciated cars that felt alive in your hands, even if it meant wrestling with a less refined suspension setup. The Nova's interior, by modern standards, is bare bones, but that only intensifies the old-school vibe. In an age of electronic aids and sleek comforts, the '67 Nova stands out as a brute. Yet for Paul, that was the entire draw. Gritty American muscle that forces you to stay engaged. When you have an engine bay stuffed full of V8 power and a modest curb weight, the combination can be downright wild. For a man who made his name chasing thrills on screen, the no-frills Nova was an apt reflection of his desire for authentic, pulse-quickening performance. The 2006 Ford GT is a homage to Ford's GT40 heritage, famously born to topple Ferrari at Le Mans in the 1960s. Packing a supercharged 5.4-liter V8 with 550 horsepower, this modern revival isn't just window dressing, it's a bona fide supercar. Paul Walker's affinity for the GT likely stemmed from its fusion of timeless design cues and contemporary engineering prowess. Yes, it retains the distinctive low roofline and wide-bellied stance. Yes, the doors cut into the roof, which can be awkward for tall drivers. But any ergonomic challenges fade once you hear that supercharger whine feeding the V8, launching you to 60 miles per hour in about 3.5 seconds. Some debate whether the 2005 to 2006 GT is too civilized, given the original GT40's brutal minimalism, but most owners celebrate the convenience of modern amenities. For Paul, it was the perfect tribute to racing lore without sacrificing reliability or day-to-day usability. A rumored 205 miles per hour top speed confirms it can hang with European exotics. Indeed, the GT is far from a delicate showpiece. It begs to be driven aggressively. In a garage stacked with iconic rides, the 2006 Ford GT commanded respect as a machine that seamlessly blended retro soul with up-to-date performance. One of the most recognizable screen cars, the Eleanor Mustang from the 2000 remake of Gone in 60 Seconds, also graced Paul Walker's collection, albeit as a well-done replica. The film's star car was a heavily modified 1967 Shelby GT 500 designed by Chip Foose, and it became so popular that multiple companies started producing replicas. 11 Eleanors were made for filming, with only 3 hero cars emerging unscathed. One sold for $1 million, securing its place among the most valuable Mustangs ever. Paul's version might not have the cinematic provenance, but it looked the part, from the bold front fascia to the throaty side exit exhaust. The line between real Shelby and replica can stir controversy among die-hard fans, yet few can deny the visual drama of an Eleanor screaming down the road. For an actor forever linked with high-octane film roles, owning an Eleanor was a natural fit. The menacing stance, the rebellious spirit, and that unmistakable V8 roar all pay homage to the cinematic car chase culture. Sure, some might sniff at the idea of a clone, but once you fire it up and feel the rumble, authenticity takes a back seat to the sheer fun of living out a movie fantasy. Although the Skyline GT-R line often steals Nissan's performance spotlight, the 370Z remained another of Paul's favorites. Powered by a 3.7-liter V6, delivering north of 300 horsepower, the 370Z embraces a more traditional sports car formula: front engine, rear-wheel drive, and a well-balanced chassis that encourages spirited driving. It may not have the monstrous power or all-wheel drive complexity of a GT-R, but that's partly why some enthusiasts love it. Paul reportedly enjoyed the Z's simpler nature. Rumor has it he tested different exhaust setups to nail the right note. Guttural enough for a thrill, but not deafening on highways. That hands-on tinkering underscores the 370Z's tuner appeal. You can boost power with bolt-ons, stiffen the suspension for track days, or just leave it stock, and still have a formidable backroad companion. Some Nissan loyalists feel the Z gets overshadowed by its GT-R sibling, yet Paul's ownership signaled that you don't always need the biggest numbers to have serious fun. The 370Z is relatively affordable, easy to modify, and delivers an old-school style of driving engagement that technology-laden supercars can't replicate. In essence, it's the everyman's corner-carving machine, and Walker championed it alongside more glamorous rides, reflecting his inclusive view of car culture. At last, we come to the 1993 Toyota Supra MK4, the halo car of Paul Walker's collection. If one car can be called his signature ride, it's the Supra, thanks largely to the Fast and the Furious saga. Yet even off-screen, Paul's passion for the MKIV was genuine. Owning both a 1995 white Supra MK4 and a 1998 white Supra MK4, its 2JGZGTE engine, rated at about 320 horsepower from the factory, could reliably handle far more with basic upgrades. Fans of the platform know the 2JZZs can produce extreme horsepower, 500, 600, 1,000 or more, without losing reliability if built properly. Some argue the Supra's fame is inflated by Hollywood, but there's a reason tuners worldwide revere this car. It merges everyday usability with near-boundless performance potential. Paul wasn't necessarily chasing maximum power. Rumor has it, he preferred a well-rounded setup that preserved drivability. The interior might feel dated, and that giant wing can be divisive, yet there's no denying the car's timeless shape or bulletproof mechanicals. Critics debate whether the Supra lives up to its legendary billing, but owners, and Paul, knew it as a versatile canvas for performance. You can daily drive it, road trip it, or turn it into a track monster without fear of constant breakdowns. That duality, capable commuter one day, quarter-mile destroyer the next, was precisely what appealed to Paul. The Supra stands as the crowning jewel of his passion for cars that are more than meets the eye, bridging popular culture and real-world prowess in one iconic package. Hope you found this video helpful and got a glimpse into the real Paul Walker, car enthusiast, collector, and all-around speed fanatic. Jokes aside, his garage reflects a man who loved everything from underdog wagons to jaw-dropping supercars, and that passion continues to inspire auto buffs around the globe. If you're revved up for more automotive deep dives, don't forget to subscribe. By joining our channel, you'll stay on top of the coolest rides, intriguing stories, and all the twists that make the car world so thrilling. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.